To Ukraine now, there are concerns Russian strikes on major Ukrainian cities are becoming more ruthless, threatening higher numbers of civilian casualties. An enormous convoy of Russian troops and equipment continues to approach the capital, Kyiv. Europe correspondent Isabella Higgins reports from Lviv in western Ukraine.
65 kilometres long of Russian troops and tanks making their way to the capital. And then there was a very ominous warning from Russia's foreign ministry telling any residents in Kyiv to leave, that they were going to be launching fresh air attacks. And not long after, that's exactly what happened. Two missiles actually hit a TV tower right next to a Holocaust memorial. It's believed that that killed at least 5 people, but it's possibly much more. And then in the besieged city of Kharkiv, there was a major missile attack, a major explosion, I should say. It's believed that that killed at least 10 people. That went off in the centre of the city, in a central square, right near a main administrative building, suggesting that Russia is becoming more ruthless with their attacks. And this makes it harder to believe, or harder to hope, that Ukraine and Russia could perhaps reach some sort of peace settlement. They're expected to meet again in the coming days. President Volodymyr Zelensky himself said that there will be no talks unless Russia decides to slow these intense airstrikes. Now, many of those leaders from European countries had offered things like weapons, some financial aid, some intelligence assistance, but when it comes to boots on the ground, Ukraine is still here on their own. Let's take a listen to what President Volodymyr Zelensky said about his country's David and Goliath battle with their eastern neighbour.
Everybody has to stop fighting and to go to that point from where it was beginning. Yeah. Yes, it began 6 days ago. Yes. I think there are principal things you can do it, and that is very important moment. If you do this, and if those side is ready, it means that they are ready for the peace.
The US and other world powers plan to tap strategic oil reserves to ease petrol prices as President Joe Biden prepares for his first State of the Union address. North America correspondent Carrington Clark has more from Washington.
The State of the Union address is one of the major set pieces on the US political calendar, and this will be the first State of the Union address for President Joe Biden, and he will be making it as a wartime president. The conflict in Ukraine has completely reshaped the context in which this speech is being given and forced major rewrites of what Joe Biden was going to say. You can expect a great deal of lofty political rhetoric regarding America's role as the leader of the free world and the importance of standing up to bullies like Vladimir Putin of Russia. But what Ukraine and America's allies want to hear is what extra aid they are going to be offering Ukraine in this ongoing battle. The United States has given about $1 billion of direct military aid to Ukraine in the last year, but Ukraine says they desperately need more because they are badly outgunned by Russian forces. And although this speech will be watched closely by international observers, it is very much about speaking to a domestic audience. Later this year will be the midterm elections for the US Congress, and both houses of Congress are up for grabs, with polling suggesting that the Republicans may take back many of the seats that they lost at the 2020 election. Joe Biden will want to highlight what he sees as his major achievements during his first year in office, and high on that list will be his major infrastructure bill that he was able to get through the Congress, and which he says will help to rebuild American infrastructure that he says has been left to decay by previous administrations. He will also want to highlight his recent nomination of Ketanji Brown Jackson, the first African-American woman to be nominated for the US Supreme Court, which kept an election promise that he made during his presidential election. Joe Biden will be addressing the nation and the Congress at 9 p.m. Eastern Time in the United States.